Welcome to the show.
Charlottesville happened. Did I say that right?
You did.
I keep saying the wrong thing because I don't know, I keep thinking of a different name for a city. But Charlottesville, a protest happened.
Yeah. So there was a protest on Friday night was the torchlit rally thing, and then Saturday was the actual main protest. So
Tiki
there was a
torches.
protest. Yeah, the Tiki Torch protest. So everyone's probably seen this. We don't need to really go through.
There's a lot
that
of
much
threads
detail.
though, so we need to start from
There's a lot of
base.
threads. So the story that everyone does know is that there was basically a right-wing white supremacist / Nazi rally in a place called Charlottesville, Virginia.
And KKK.
And KKK, but they're like...
Don't forget the
white
KKK, Yay
supremacists.
Chan.
I can't believe they're still around.
Mate, they are still around.
They're a lot bigger than the neo-Nazi, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah,
KKK has got like history in America. And
but very similar
Crazy.
vein. So anyway, this guy named Jason Kessler organized this rally called Unite the Right to protect. So there's a statue of a Confederate general called Robert E. Lee, and his statue's in Emancipation Park in Charlottesville. That was the park where the protest happened. People are proposing to take down that statue. So one of the councillors, and there's like a push to take down the statue because the Confederacy, obviously, the main reason they fought the Civil War, was to protect their right to have slaves, right? So it's pretty like crap if you're like a black person in America, where you're still not like on an equal standing right now. Like you're still struggling for rights, and like there's a whole like police shootings and all that. In that context, it's not great to be seeing a monument to someone who fought for the right to keep you as slave.
Especially in a park called Emancipation Park, because that means
renamed
freedom from slavery.
They renamed that
right?
afterwards.
Okay.
That's already been renamed.
That's pretty ironic.
Yeah, because like the Confederate guy in that named park is such a... I guess that's probably started the reason to get rid of the statue, probably.
Question.
Well, not started it, but...
Were this gang who were protesting, right? Were
many gangs.
Were they
Hundreds of them. Different groups.
like from the outset? Were they straight up KKK, white supremacists, neo-Nazis, or were there also a bunch of just straight up right wing people?
It depends if you listen to Trump or not.
Yeah, I think it was majority. It was majority white supremacists.
Okay.
From the look of the actual pictures at the protest, it's really hard to get a sense of that.
And the
though.
Vice videos too.
Yeah, like if you're a normal person who's not a white supremacist and you're surrounded by people giving Heil Hitlers and
Nazi
saying-
shirts too. Don't forget about the
chanting
Nazi shirts.
White Lives Matter or Jew will not replace us and stuff like that.
Jew
then
will not replace us.
You're not gonna sit there and go, I really want that statue down.
Yeah.
Like if you're surrounded by people like that and you're not a white supremacist, you'd be disgusted and you'd probably walk away.
Very polarizing.
Right? It's very hard to imagine that there's non-racist white people who were there just to take down, like just to stop the statue coming down.
Because what's the time frame of this thing? Like how long?
Well,
were
the
they-
night before,
Yeah.
they have the Tiki Torch rally, so a bunch of hipster alt-right people had gathered together,
With
giving like
Polynesian torches.
giving Hitler salutes, Nazi salutes, and like
From-
they had
so
these
from the-
Tiki torches they'd taken from Home Depot. They bought from Home Depot.
Gotta get them somewhere.
Yeah, I mean there was a massive joke because the Tiki brand on Twitter had been much more like obvious against the white supremacists after this happened than Trump was.
So from the start, they were doing our Hitler
Yeah,
thing.
those were happening. That was the night before, and then that morning, then like everyone who's there. There's people who are armed, like they're coming along with guns. They're coming along with shields. They're coming along with like weaponry and stuff.
Far out.
Because
It's not like something you'd go to if you're as a normal, reasonable human being and go, I really want to be a part of this, even though I don't agree with all these people.
that's my question. Were there people there who are genuine, just like, nah, I don't agree. I'm just gonna go and protest.
There's
and
people
be-
saying they were there for that, but when you stand next to someone giving a Hitler salute and you don't do anything,
Doesn't look good.
you're kind of doing something by not doing something.
Okay.
So
Okay.
At the very least, get out of there, right?
yeah, as soon as you realize, it's turned into this, screw this, I'm leaving. Right?
Okay. Cool.
So they were protesting that the statue should not be pulled down.
Yes, they're protesting in general this idea that there's a white genocide.
Which, well,
White
I-
genocide.
yeah. But the idea of not taking the statue down isn't that crazy though, right? Like, but take all the racism out of it. historically you could make an argument about that, but it was just so overwhelmingly Nazi that I think most people had the problem with.
Yeah, if it was just a protest, like, we really like this statue. Like, let's keep this statue.
Yeah.
Or even like a historical reminder of the bad things. Is that a good thing?
But I feel like the people who were there didn't think it was such a bad thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's how it looked.
It's pretty crazy to think that like millions of Americans died fighting Nazis in World War II.
Yeah. Probably
Yeah.
their parents.
Right? And they call them the greatest generation for a reason.
Stephen, you're American. Are you a Nazi?
How do you feel about those
Let's talk
Nazis?
about this subject. I watched it today for 20
Here, come here.
Quick American guess.
Stephen, American.
Let's get an American
The
point
American angle.
Talk to here.
Mr. American,
Alright.
how do you feel about neo-Nazis?
Neo-Nazis, they all should go die.
No swearing.
Okay,
Go.
that's okay. I really I would actually swear this topic makes me that mad.
Yeah.
I watched a 22-minute video from Viceland. Have you seen that yet?
Yeah.
The inside edition.
Mm.
After watching that today, I wanted to go and strangle and beat the living crap out of the guy. The
Jason Kessler or one of the different guys?
is that the head white supremacist?
Jason Kessler was the guy who organized the rally, but I don't think he's the head.
Okay,
white.
is he bald?
David Duke is the white.
the
head
bald
white
guy?
supremacist.
It was the bald guy, and he was
Right.
carrying like an AK, an
Right.
M4, 3 pistols, and a knife.
Right. Okay.
And I was like, and he was,
USA.
No, Jason Kessler is the guy who got beaten up when he tried to have a press conference afterwards and blamed. the
oh
police
yes,
for
no,
it.
I saw that. Yes,
That
yes,
was
yes.
great. That was some
No,
good
but-
catharsis.
I think it's a bit outrageous what's going on.
Yeah.
Like, there's no need for it. Like,
Yeah.
I watched another thing today. There was a guy in a press conference. He's saying, these are the stories that my grandfather was telling me, and
Yeah.
now I can actually relate to that.
Yeah.
And, like, history's not supposed to repeat. You're supposed to move forward. So,
you
even though as much as it does repeat,
Do you think this is a nationwide problem in the US?
it is a nationwide problem.
Okay.
It's very bad.
Mm.
In every state, there's always the divide. In my hometown as well, I watched a video recently as well. I've been watching a lot of videos. So it was it's literally, so we have something called the Plaza from Kansas City. So it's the downtown, it's the Plaza. It's the really nice shopping district, it's like Italian designed, everything.
Mm.
And you can walk a mile. I'm not good with K conversion.
1.6 kilometers.
Yeah, exactly. So you'll walk 1.6 kilometers, and you'll be in what is classified as the ghetto. Like,
Yeah.
you'll be in one of the most dangerous
Wow.
streets in America, and that's literally just 1.6 Ks, like we were saying.
Mm.
And that's just a racial divide, really. Like, that was the biggest thing. Like, you see all these white people that have so much money. You walk 1.6 Ks, and you go to like mostly African Americans, and they're living in like section housing, and they're living off food stamps, and they're living off all of this.
Mm.
And that's just because they, like, there's just, obviously there's multiple reasons. Like, there's like medical things that play into it. There's everything that plays into it. But the way that they get treated is the biggest problem.
But the biggest problem is the white genocide, right?
Yes. Those white people, man.
For the most part, though, it seems like the KKK types, like the full-on white supremacist types, tend to be on the poorer side, right?
Yes.
They're not wealthy.
They're more
affluent
they're
people.
more classified as rednecks.
Yeah,
Mm.
because
Yeah.
it's hard to be like a well-educated
Well,
person and
yeah.
have those views.
Exactly. Like, when the guy, like in the video I was watching on Viceland, was trying to make his cases, I was like
Yeah,
you
they're
could
not
you
smart.
could just tell, like, if he actually sat down and had a conversation with a white intelligent male, like, or a female for all like it matters. I'm not trying to say I'm being sexist.
Nah, most of them were sexist there as well. So the chances are
they
you
wouldn't
sit.
they wouldn't sit
Yeah.
down with a female in the first
Yeah.
place.
Yeah.
And like, if they had like an actual conversation, they would just get shut down in a matter of seconds.
Yeah.
I watched another one with another redneck and his wife saying that he would not sit down with an immigrant. And I'm like, well, obviously you don't know your history, because like 90% of Americans are immigrants unless you're native, like 100% Native American.
Yeah, it's all about take America back when they're all...
We're all immigrants of America, so
Yeah.
really we shouldn't even be taking it back. We should be
They gotta take it again.
exactly,
That's what they gotta do.
exactly.
They just want to take it.
they want
just
they
wanna
want their
take.
constitutional rights
Yeah.
reinstated.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right, that's Stephen, everybody.
The South shall rise again.
I don't
Don't
know
worry
who
about that.
is.
I don't know why that's
Just ran a
there.
guitar.
Who put that there?
That's Steve.
Stephen lives here, if you're
That's our
wondering.
American correspondent.
A U.S.
Our
correspondent.
American.
But things took a dark turn.
Yeah, like is that a Dark Tower reference or something?
No.
Okay.
I think it just means
Just
What do they want? Do
Just
they?
went
Do
bad.
they? I understand that the belief is that white people are better than the rest. But what is it that they want?
So they want to, I don't know, be set. I think they would all want segregated schools. I would imagine.
So why don't they
They,
all like move somewhere really white and just live there?
they are.
They do. That's why they have the views that they have. It's pretty hard to like live in an integrated society and actually feel the way they feel.
Yeah.
It's like how like most of the anti-Muslim people in Australia live
Live
in
in
places
Brisbane.
where there's no Muslims. No, they live in like North Queensland.
Yeah.
And they've just
Country
never
folk.
met someone like that. So it's really easy to believe lies about someone you don't know. It's a little bit more complicated with the southern whites because they had this like weird thing where like the Civil War happened and it definitely started because of slavery. But then they did this whole lost cause thing where they spread this idea that the South fought even though they knew they were going to lose, just for the idea of like honor and like being like a certain way of life and liberty and all these things. They tried to put all these really nice like ideas behind it, and it wasn't the slavery that they were really fighting for in the first place.
freedom.
I was looking at Robert E. Lee was pretty interesting. I was looking him up. He fought on the Confederate side, but he'd been asked to be a general for the Union. So he was part of, they were all one country. He was part of the United States military. He was a general before the war, and he was a very good one. Oh, he was a colonel. He's from Virginia, and Virginia was one of the states that seceded. So his idea was, he was against the secession, but once they seceded, he had to fight to protect Virginia. So he was a slave owner, but he was the kind of slave owner who thought it was really important to be very kind to your slaves. And he didn't know, he put a religious aspect to it where it was like, he thinks slaves are bad, but they exist because God wants them to exist, and it'll finish when God decides it should finish. Which was a very weird idea to me, but I guess that was his justification. But he wasn't overly pro-slavery, I guess. He didn't want the secession to happen in the first place, and he seemed okay with slavery ending, but he was fighting to defend Virginia. And then towards the end of the war, the South, because they were losing and they needed manpower, were actually proposing training their black slaves to fight on their side and emancipating them. So,
Jeez.
yeah, it was very interesting, but at the end of the day, he's got a statue for him because he fought for the South. And, well, he was also a good general before that. I don't know. It's very
Seems like he was kind of honourable at least. Like he wasn't the worst dude.
Yeah, it's hard to say that though, because I mean, from the contemporary sources, he seems like that was the case. But there's also been this push since the war to make all the Confederate side soldiers seem like that. So it's hard to separate whether that's just an ideal, that they're like a narrative that was pushed. It's like the idea that like when you look at like the Persian Wars and Leonidas and stuff in 300, the idea that they were fighting against slavery and all that. The Persians didn't have slaves, and the Spartans definitely did have slaves. They had a slave population that was like 100 to 1.
Yeah. Well, I've been hearing an interesting opinion that I wouldn't have even considered just because I'm not American. But I was hearing the opinion of he shouldn't have a statue because he's a traitor to America.
Yeah.
Which you don't hear that said very often, but like he was, like they went against the country.
They were all. It's like that's the funny. That's the reason they had the lost cause, like idea, because it was part of the reconciliation between the South and the North. They couldn't just reconcile these people and say, like, because like what they did was treason.
Yeah.
They fought against their own country.
Yeah.
If any of us did that, we would be tried under our treason laws. The only way they couldn't was this idea that they were fighting for states' rights and all this other stuff. But fundamental to the charter that the Confederacy had was they didn't like the idea that, so their states' rights argument, they didn't like the idea that the federal government could tell the states that they couldn't have slaves.
Right.
And they were going to enshrine in their own constitution the idea that the federal government the state government couldn't emancipate slaves if the federal government had put it into law. So they didn't actually. It's a complicated argument, but at the end of the day, they didn't actually care about states' rights. Because in their constitution, they were going to make it so that even if the state decided they didn't want to have slaves, because the federal government had slavery enshrined in law, they couldn't override it. So it was stupid. So basically, like from the outset, it wasn't about states' rights. It was about having slaves. It was like vital to their economy that they had slaves. So it's a stupid argument to say that it wasn't about slavery. And ultimately, a lot of so there's heaps of statues all throughout the South commemorating Stonewall Jackson, Robert E. Lee, Jefferson Davis, who was the president of the South, and they're trying to take them. They're
all getting
basically.
stealth taken down because no one wants a riot again.
The mayor in Baltimore did it overnight.
Wow.
Took down 4 statues overnight. Yeah, it was just gone. And
smart move.
Advised other mayors to do the same thing. Just don't telegraph it because they'll and there's a lot of so the problem is these neo-Nazis are trying to do this all over the country. They're going to keep gathering at different places and flashpoints. They're trying to do Boston Commons, which is in Boston. If you didn't figure that out. There was a thing in Toronto that got cancelled. Trump himself is having a rally in Arizona, in Phoenix, and the Phoenix mayor begged him to not to come and to stay away and not have his rally now because it's a bad time because of what's happening.
Right.
And Trump listened and was sensitive.
I doubt it.
What's the president's response to this?
So the president's response on Saturday, he had prepared remarks. And he went through, he condemns all the violence and the bigotry and all that.
On both sides?
No, but that wasn't part of his prepared remarks. So
okay.
He got through the prepared remarks and then added on many sides. So this idea that it was
everyone.
It was equivocation, basically.
Right.
Saying Nazis are bad, but also the people who were stopping them were as bad because they were violent as well. Which is what got everyone upset because you're okay, we all agree violence is bad. Now, sorry, we forgot to say, a woman died on Saturday, Heather Heyer. She was run down by a white supremacist, 20-year-old guy in a car. So that's that was the worst part of the day.
Who drove into them.
Yeah, who drove into them intentionally.
So can you just explain it, because it's a bit confusing. So the gathering was that it was a white gathering, right?
It was a Unite the Right gathering to protect white culture.
But then the white guy drove into the crowd there.
So
the crowd of counter-protesters. So there's
gotcha.
protesters,
Yeah.
and then because there's protesters, a whole bunch of people came who were we don't like Nazis.
Yeah. So it's two
For
sides.
context, Charlottesville is actually a university town and is very liberal. So it's very left-leaning. Hillary Clinton won that area by 80%.
Wow.
It's surrounded by areas that would probably be more Republican-leaning.
Yep.
But these people came from all over the country.
Yeah.
So these white supremacists came from all over the country to gather here. They weren't from the area.
Sure.
But then also a few people from outside the area also came to protest against them.
Right.
That's the red herring, I think you call it, which the alt-right are throwing out, is that Antifa, which is a group called that's against fascists, so anti-fascists. They were there to start trouble, and that's the reason it got violent.
Okay.
Now, there is reports that they were throwing water bottles and rocks and urine at the white supremacists, which is what set off.
When they should have been throwing grenades.
Yeah, maybe. Antifa's actually got a very long history as well. So they go back to the 1930s, and they originated in Germany to counter the Nazis.
Wow. Are they known to be quite violent?
Yeah, a lot of them have roots with anarchist groups.
Okay.
So they're not great people or anything like that.
some people pushing to label them a terrorist organization.
Yeah, that's dumb.
Yeah.
They're
Black
trying
Lives
to push
Matter.
that for Black Lives Matter as well,
Yeah.
which is also
Right.
stupid.
But they try to stop things and take matters into their own hands, basically.
And they don't
Yeah,
they didn't get a permit for their gathering, so
You get to this point where extreme groups start to be really similar to each other.
Yep.
They're so far away. They're we hate the government and everything that's happening, and we're just going to attack each other. And then they're just
go
the
full circle.
exact same thing. They're not the exact same thing because they're not saying. So the Nazi people were saying stuff to white women who are counter protesting. You need to get subjugated, and to black people, you're going to be on the first boat out. And the night before at the Tiki rally, they're you're gonna be the first one in the oven, like basically
Jeez.
like talking about the Holocaust. There was an awesome picture afterwards of this old like Jewish lady saying, "I survived the Holocaust once. You won't get me this time."
Damn.
There's a lot of cool photos like that of
Yeah.
the black cop in front of like 100
Yep.
neo-Nazis. It's
How-
like,
And protecting them as well because he's
Yeah.
standing facing away from them.
Crazy.
But
So-
that is a crazy thought that all these like World War II veterans and people who survived that stuff
Yep.
are still alive, and they're seeing this and they're like, "How have you not learnt anything?"
Yeah.
But then the president came out and it was like he made it seem like they were the same. But can you imagine if because his point was like the right-wing protesters had a permit and the left-wing ones didn't.
But-
can you imagine having something like that and it go unchallenged?
yeah. And it, like, pretty much every person who is famous in any way came out and said, "You're an idiot, Trump."
Yeah.
And because it seemed like he didn't want to piss off the Nazis because they're a lot of his supporters.
Well, basically what he said was the Nazis had permits, so it's okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, but their peaceful protest was interrupted by.
Yeah. And he was trying to say a lot of the people there were nice people who were just there to stop the statue coming down. That was his comments on Tuesday. So he made a statement on Saturday where he did the on many sides thing. Got everyone angry because it was like, you can't act like Nazis are the same
Yeah.
as the people fighting Nazis.
Yeah.
And
We were the people fighting Nazis in World War II.
Right.
And it's stupid that you're okay with them being here now.
yeah. And John Oliver does a perfect bit on it, just going, "You can't have an easier gimme than condemning Nazis.
Yeah.
There's not an easier point you can score as a president than condemning neo-Nazis.
Yeah.
And you
he
didn't take
do
your
it.
opportunity."
Which he came out and did on Monday, but it was the most wooden, scripted statement that he's ever made. And no one believed him for a second. So on Saturday after he made his thing,
Yeah.
there's like these terrible right-wing websites, white supremacists. I shouldn't say right-wing. Right-wing's like,
Not all bad.
we don't like
That's
taxes.
just a political stance.
Not like
Yeah.
we think white people are better than everyone
The
else.
A-Chan's right wing.
It's
Yeah,
all small government, right?
yeah, small. Like there's. I don't want to say right-wing because it includes a lot of people
That's right.
who shouldn't be included in this.
Racist
There was a
Nazis.
crazy racist Nazi website
Yeah.
that came out saying it wasn't that bad what Trump said. He didn't condemn us. He didn't attack us. He just said everyone needs to come together. So they were really happy with what he said on Saturday.
Yeah.
David Duke was happy. David Duke was a former Grand Wizard of the KKK, who's the... How stupid is an organization?
Wizard?
Hold on, I was just going to say that title.
That's the person in charge.
Grand
That's the
Wizard.
Grand Wizard.
Is that
And
why
they
they
wear
wear-
bed sheets with holes in their eyes.
Gandalf.
Freaking idiots.
So he's a Gandalf.
Yeah, he's getting off.
Saruman, I think.
He is Dumbledore.
Yeah,
Right.
well, he has history with Trump earlier as well, because when Trump first started, said he was going to run for office, David Duke was like, "Yep." And it took Trump like a whole week to say, "I'm not friends with David Duke," but he definitely didn't want to.
Yeah.
He's worked out this perfect way of eventually saying what everyone wants him to say, but because he doesn't say it immediately, all the people who think there's some mainstream, like, conspiracy theory that, he's fighting the establishment and stuff, they're like, okay, he's just saying this because he needs to, because that's the rules of the game, but he's actually on our side. He gives people the impression that he's on their side, even though he does the opposite thing eventually.
Yeah.
This one seems to be one of the ones that'll actually stick, though. Like, people won't forget this one. There's a lot of there's so many things Trump's done already that you forget.
His line, so after his Monday press conference where he's like, Nazis are bad, all the obvious stuff, but he said it like a robot.
Yep.
Tuesday he comes out, there's no scripted one again, and
Because he was talking
blames
about
the left.
infrastructure.
Yeah, he comes out and he blames the left again. No, he had a statement in his pocket because they knew he was going to get asked it, but he didn't read it. And then he said his own thing, which was basically, what about the people on the left, the alt left, who came with clubs and started attacking? There were good people at this rally who were like just there to protest taking down a statue, all that stuff. Yeah, he's I don't know if it'll stick though, because I feel like his base, his 30% of people who will always approve of what he says,
Yeah.
are so solid that when he says that, they're going to believe him.
I feel
When
like
he
there'd
blames
be
Antifa, I feel like they're going to believe him.
I feel like there'd be a lot of down-to-earth, red-blooded Americans who would be so anti-Nazi, who would be a huge part of his base, though. Does that make sense?
No,
like
but
the working class aren't all racists.
Yeah, but they'll believe that that maybe that they weren't all Nazis. It's just the fake news who's making it seem like everyone was a Nazi there. It was actually just mostly people who were there to protest taking down a statue, and most of his base would be on the same side as that.
Yeah.
So
They don't think statues should come down. And then he made this argument during his tirade, oh, what's next, George Washington and Thomas Jefferson, because they were also slave owners. So I think his 30% will believe him. Because they believe him over any other news source. They've been inoculated from counter views. So as soon as Trump says something, I think they just believe what he says. If he can form any kind of consistent worldview, even if it's wrong, they'll believe it. So in their minds, this was started by left-wing protesters. There was a couple of Nazis there, but most of the people were good. The left-wing guys started it.
They started trouble.
And then
it escalated.
if you go all the way into Crazy Town, so I watched a freaking Alex Jones video, which is really painful and stupid. But they believed that there was a conspiracy theory between Antifa and the police withdrew intentionally to allow the violence to happen to make the Trump supporters look bad. Like the Nazis and stuff. Which is crazy and stupid.
Sounds made up.
That's how everything on Alex Jones sounds.
I don't know.
On a side note, he's like a really crazy conspiracy theory right-wing guy.
Oh,
He
that's
yells
him.
a lot.
Yeah, the bald one.
Yeah.
Balding, maybe? Yeah.
He's got some hair. Anyway.
Middle-aged American dude.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
Everyone's the
he
devil.
yells a lot, and there's a lot of stuff about the devil. Hillary's the devil.
Like PewDiePie.
He came out during the election saying Hillary was possessed by the devil.
Cool.
So he's crazy, but he seems to get a lot of people watching his videos.
It's funny.
I went into the comment section, and a lot of it was about that white genocide idea. Like, we got to protect white America. White America has a right to exist. White lives matter.
What is the white
From
genocide
what?
idea?
So the okay, so this was someone's evidence on one of the comments. He was like, go to Google, type in white woman with children, or type in white couple, or type in white man and woman.
Right.
And then there was a whole bunch of other things that he listed to Google. And I went, okay, I'm going to try this. It's Google. And when you Google those things, most of the results in the image search are actually black people.
What?
Yeah. So this was his evidence that... Wait. Okay, Chris has got this up. Go to the images one. Why are you looking at that one?
I'm just going.
What?
Okay.
That is so weird.
But
These people are not white.
Get out of that. So Chris has done the Google search. Most of these results are mixed race couples or not even a white woman.
Right.
Get rid of the white part of it.
Just
Can you do that
search
for
couple.
me? Just
Yeah,
search
it's
couple.
just-
Just search couple.
Anyone who knows anything about keywords would see the problem with that.
Yeah, anyone with half a brain knows that by adding white, you've automatically found the websites
they'll say
that make
black
race
and
a
white.
thing.
Yeah, that's right.
Right? So yeah, you're getting black and white. You're getting all the
Right,
other things
okay.
in there.
Neapolitan.
But when you just type in couple, you get the default, which is all white people.
Yeah, there's a lot of white people here.
So if you take
These
the
guys are
white,
really white.
if you take the white out of all of those searches that guy said to search, you just get white people.
So is a white genocide an idea that we're trying to wipe out white people?
Yeah, I think.
Oh, jeez.
And make white people the bad people all the time. I guess they're like...
These ones aren't white.
Like, they have such a small self-esteem that they need to either be, like, really special because they're white, or they need to... I don't know what it is. Like, what would make you feel like the need to be special because of your colour?
If it's
Being like an idiot. My parents told me that all my life.
it's a community thing, isn't it? They feel that the culture. Well, I'm just getting this from American History X, so this might be completely wrong. The idea in that is they were kind of ostracized because everything in the culture was so cool, which was usually black kind of culture of.
So because they don't feel...
I don't believe this, so don't repeat me. Like that kind of music, that kind of
women and also bloody...
So they feel like being just a normal white dude isn't cool, and that it kind of spawns out of that. Like, it's funny, but
So that's almost like low self-esteem in high school level.
yeah.
Motivation.
Like
I think
how-
that's actually where it kind of spawns
But a lot of
from.
these people are young males,
Yeah.
like that age group, and generally pretty ugly as well. Just gonna say it. On average, white supremacists, not the best looking bunch.
And they're inbred.
David
Oh,
Colbert made the
just
funniest
saying.
joke about David Duke because he had a photo of David Duke up, and he's like just sitting there being the master race, and he looks so ugly.
Oh yeah, I seen that one.
And it was the funniest
He's
thing
so
ever.
gross.
Yeah. Because how can you look at that guy and think that's the master race?
Yeah, that took a mean turn.
It should be legal to turn up to any Nazi or KKK meeting and just shoot them.
Like a continuation of World War II. Say, we declared war on you
absolutely.
before,
It
you
never
are
ended.
enemy of the state.
We won the World War, right?
We get
the
to
Nazis
shoot you.
lost. So if you're still a Nazi, you die.
You know who does want to kill everybody and take over?
Who's that?
Daenerys Targaryen.
Okay, topic change.
Wow.
Come on, Adam. Couldn't wait 15 minutes.
She's white.
She's white,
You guys
And
want
inbred.
Do you guys want a
Eating us
donut?
like-
Super
No.
inbred.
but she's got a lot of diverse friends. What's going on
do we
here?
want to do this?
No.
Are you sure
No,
this
I'll
is a good
eat
idea?
it.
Too late.
Seems like
You
a
had
bad
your chance.
idea.
I'm so keen. I was
Audio listeners, he just got offered a donut
You're-
from Donut Time.
you're gonna yell at me because I'm gonna be chewing.
This week's sponsor, Donut Time. Follow them at Donut Time on Instagram.
Courtesy of Stephen, our American correspondent.
Oh, wait, hang on. Do you guys think statues... Do you guys think statues should be taken down?
If they're bad statues, yes.
Of bad people? But he was a great general.
Honestly,
On Trump's point,
You know-
should George Washington's
You know who
statue
else
be
was a
taken
great
down?
general? Hitler. He
No,
was
he
the
wasn't.
best general out of
he
all
was
of them.
he was a good leader.
He was a good leader.
Apparently, the other guy was.
Erwin
Goebbels.
Rommel was a great general.
We should bring
Yeah, but
down
they're bad people.
not the statues, but Nazis.
Oh my god.
Their argument...
Use it as bait.
Kill them. Seriously, just shoot them.
Their argument with the statues is that you're getting rid of their history.
Yeah, look, it makes sense.
Do you think that's getting rid of history?
Getting rid of
if you
bad history.
To be fair, no person is good enough for a statue. I'm just going to put it out there. Unless it's an idea, like the Statue of Liberty is an idea.
What about
Katy Perry.
What about David?
What about?
No,
I
that's
think
a
Taylor
statue.
Swift would be happy about Katy Perry getting a statue.
You know
No,
what?
that's
Though,
a statue.
if you go to Rome, like it's like Colosseum. Like it's a horrible place that we used to kill people, make people kill each other for a sport. But it's there because there is a point in that it's history, and there's good and bad things that we can learn from it. I think, like I said, the statue is just a bloody statue. Like it's the people that's the issue.
We're using Rome as an example. Christians in the Middle Ages tore down a lot of the bronze statues of all the emperors. There's only one that they kept, and it was actually Marcus Aurelius. And the only reason they kept it was because they thought it was Constantine, the first Christian emperor. So it's kind of sad that we can't see all these other emperors because we don't know what they look like now and all that sort of stuff.
True.
So it would have been nice if we had them. The people at the time thought they were taking them down for the right reasons.
Yeah, and there's a
Good one.
you don't want to erase bad history because then you'll repeat history, right? That's kind of the argument.
That's a great quote.
I don't think that's a quote. I just made
No,
it
no,
up.
you just said it.
It's
Oh,
a
yeah.
quote if you're quoting him. Are you quoting him?
I'm quoting Ali right now.
Bad history.